We've got Demolition Theater and Misfit Garage, and a couple more shows coming out on the Discovery Channel next year. And with Aaron Kaufman being on my side, I mean, we just keep getting our game better and better.
Richard Rawlings, the star of Fast and Loud and owner of Gas Monkey Garage, recently made a startling confession about his feelings toward custom car legend Jesse James. For years, fans have noticed the tension between these two, but most people thought it was just normal competition in the car world. Turns out, it goes way deeper than that. Some fans even say this is one of the most intense rivalries the custom car scene has ever seen. In this video, I'll be revealing the part where everything. Stay right here till the end to find out. The beginning of the rivalry. Tension inside the custom car world did not appear overnight, and the rivalry between Richard Rawlings and Jesse James slowly grew from what first looked like a normal professional collaboration. The situation started gaining attention around 2007 during work on Discovery Channel production Biker Buildoff, a show built around competition between builders who tried to prove skill, creativity, and speed under pressure. At that time, Fast and Loud had not yet reached the level of fame that later followed, and Richard Rawlings was still working toward a bigger name in the industry. Jesse James already carried a strong reputation as a serious motorcycle builder, known for hands-on fabrication and a strict belief in real craftsmanship. A simple question began to form during that period, the kind of question that sounds harmless at first, but quickly turns into something much bigger. What really happens when two strong personalities, both used to being in control, are placed inside the same competitive environment where ego, reputation, and pride are always on the line? At first, it looked like just another rivalry in the car world, the kind fans love to watch. But the deeper you go, the more you realize this wasn't just competition, it was personal. And the story behind it is far more intense than most people realize. Stay with me until the very end, because the real reason Fast and Loud's Richard Rawlings hates rival Jesse James gets more shocking the further you dig. Production placed several builders against each other, and the format encouraged rivalry, comparison, and public judgment. Instead of staying friendly, the atmosphere slowly turned tense. Comments made during filming started sounding less like jokes and more like personal shots. Rawlings often directed humor toward Jesse James, and some of the remarks survived editing and went on air. Once television audiences heard those words, the tension stopped being private and became public. Another question followed naturally. Could a working relationship survive after millions of people watched the conflict unfold on screen? The situation grew more serious when several comments crossed what many considered normal professional limits. Rawlings made a remark suggesting that Jesse James was only acting like a Texan while visiting Texas, a statement that sounded like a challenge to authenticity. In a world where reputation means everything, that kind of comment carried weight. More jokes followed about appearance, voice, and lifestyle, and each remark added more pressure to an already uncomfortable partnership. The moment that pushed the conflict even further came when Rawlings joked about the relationship between Jesse James and Sandra Bullock. That comment turned a work rivalry into something personal. A quiet thought spread across the industry. Why bring private life into a professional competition? More rumors appeared soon after, including talk that Jesse James might stop building motorcycles and move into acting. For someone known for working with tools, metal, and machines, that rumor sounded like an insult to years of hard work. Anger built slowly, and the tension finally reached a point where retaliation followed. Jesse James responded in a way that matched the rough culture of the custom bike world. A truckload of manure ended up dumped on Gas Monkey property after bikers were asked to deliver the message. That moment showed that the rivalry had moved far beyond jokes and television drama. The conflict did not end there. By 2010, the argument shifted from personal insults to business accusations. Claims started spreading that Richard Rawlings copied ideas connected to outlaw motorcycle designs. Jesse James stood firm on the belief that original concepts had been taken and reused. Rawlings answered by presenting a different image, one built around marketing skill, branding, and business growth. This difference created another question that people inside the industry kept asking. What matters more in the custom car world, hands-on building or smart promotion? Jesse James built a reputation as a craftsman who worked directly with metal, engines, and frames. Long hours in the shop shaped that image. Richard Rawlings built success through branding, television exposure, and team management. Instead of welding every part personally, Rawlings focused on building a business that could reach a wider audience. This contrast in style turned simple competition into something deeper. One side valued physical work and fabrication skill. The other side valued vision, marketing, and expansion. Over time, this difference in philosophy kept the rivalry alive, even when cameras stopped rolling. Conversations inside the custom car community often returned to the same point. Could respect exist between two people who believed in completely different ways of working? Some believed both approaches had value. Others believed only one path deserved recognition. The disagreement never fully disappeared, and every new project, interview, or public appearance seemed to remind people of the old conflict. The rivalry between Richard Rawlings and Jesse James became more than a disagreement between two builders. The rivalry didn't just stay between two builders throwing jabs at each other on TV. Over time, it grew into something much bigger, turning into a symbol of a larger debate happening inside the custom car world itself. Fans, builders, and even industry veterans started taking sides, arguing about what really matters in this business. Was it about authenticity or about making the biggest deals? Was it about true craftsmanship or about building a brand that could dominate the spotlight? Reputation, pride, money, and respect all became part of the conversation, and the tension only kept growing. What started as competition slowly became a clash of philosophies, and the more people looked into it, the more they realized this story was far from simple. But just when it seemed like the rivalry couldn't get any more intense, a series of moments happened that pushed everything into the public eye in a way nobody expected. These weren't small disagreements behind closed doors. These were incidents that made headlines, sparked outrage, and had fans talking for years. Some people still argue about them today. And trust me, you'll want to stay glued till the very end, because the infamous incidents that made headlines changed everything. The infamous incidents that made headlines. Tension between Richard Rawlings and Jesse James reached a level that many people did not expect, and one of the most talked about moments came during the strange and unforgettable manure delivery incident. The situation unfolded while cameras for Fast and Loud were rolling, and the entire event ended up being captured without any filter. A dump truck arrived at the driveway of Gas Monkey Garage, and bikers stepped out before unloading piles of horse manure right in front of the shop. The delivery came as retaliation for repeated jokes and mockery that had been directed at Jesse James for a long time. What made the moment even more shocking was the decision to air the footage exactly as recorded. Producers showed the mess on television, but many people later wondered if the deeper meaning behind the act was fully understood at the time. Was the delivery just a joke, or did the moment reveal how personal the rivalry had already become? The scene quickly turned into one of the most remembered moments in automotive reality television, not because of mechanical work or car builds, but because of how far the conflict had gone. Years passed, but the tension never really disappeared. And another strange moment added more fuel to the rivalry. During a gas monkey auction event, Richard Rawlings decided to place one of Jesse James' childhood bicycles on the auction list as a joke. The idea looked harmless at first, but the situation changed when bidding started climbing higher and higher. The price moved quickly until the number reached $800, which surprised everyone present. Rawlings reacted with loud laughter and made comments about how Jesse James must be smarter than expected and how bicycle building might be worth getting into after seeing the price. The reaction created another wave of questions. Was the stunt meant to be funny, or was the goal to embarrass an old rival in public? The moment showed something else that nobody could ignore. Supporters of Jesse James still cared enough to spend real money on a childhood item, even while the auction profits went to Gas Monkey. The situation made the rivalry look less like friendly competition and more like a personal battle that never cooled down. Public confrontations and comments outside of television made the conflict feel even more real. Some scenes on reality shows could always be questioned because television often mixes entertainment with real life, but the tone of many remarks sounded too personal to be fully staged. Announcements about hiring mechanics, sarcastic jokes, and public insults made the rivalry look deeper than simple business competition. People started asking a simple question. At what point does rivalry turn into real dislike? The answer seemed to appear in the way both sides continued to take shots at each other long after certain episodes stopped filming. Social media added another layer to the situation since comments posted online stayed visible for everyone to read, replay, and argue about. Every new post or interview brought back old arguments, and every reaction from fans pushed the tension even further. Behind the scenes, production decisions also played a role in making the conflict look bigger and louder. Reality television depended on drama, and producers understood that strong reactions kept audiences watching. Moments between Gas Monkey Garage and rival builders often received extra attention during editing, and confrontations sometimes looked more intense on screen than in real life. Similar situations happened during other Fast and Loud episodes, where arguments between shops turned into major storylines. This created another question that many people quietly asked. How much of the feud came from real feelings, and how much came from the pressure to make good television? The answer never came in a simple form, because both sides clearly showed real frustration. But television also encouraged louder reactions than normal business disagreements would require. As filming continued over the years, relationships between builders slowly changed. Friendly competition turned into distrust, and small jokes sometimes grew into serious arguments. Producers often pushed for stronger reactions because strong reactions created higher ratings. Cameras captured heated conversations, sarcastic remarks, and moments that might have passed quietly if no audience had been watching. By the time filming stopped on certain episodes, the damage between some builders had already been done. Professional respect became harder to maintain once personal insults entered the picture. The rivalry between Richard Rawlings and Jesse James ended up standing as one of the clearest examples of how reality television could mix real emotion with entertainment pressure, until nobody could easily separate one from the other. The entire situation left many people wondering whether the feud would have ever reached this level if cameras hadn't been rolling the whole time. Without the auctions, the jokes, the public challenges, and the constant spotlight. Some believe the tension might have faded like so many rivalries do. But instead, every moment was captured, replayed, and talked about, turning what could have been a small disagreement into something much bigger than anyone expected. Each comment led to another reaction. Every competition sparked a new argument, and before long, the conflict had taken on a life of its own. Fans picked sides, rumors spread online, and the story kept growing even when it seemed like it should have ended. What makes it even more interesting is that the feud didn't stop when the cameras did. In fact, some say that's when things became even more complicated. New interviews, unexpected statements, and old grudges refusing to disappear have kept this rivalry alive for years. And the real reason it continues today is something most people completely missed at the time. Stay with me until the very end, because the truth behind why this feud still isn't over might surprise you more than anything else in this story. Why the feud continues today. A long explanation began to form around the tension between Gas Monkey Garage and Jesse James, and the root of the divide came from very different business philosophies about how custom vehicles should be built. Many people started asking a simple question: how could two builders working in the same industry see the craft in such different ways? The answer came from the way each side approached automotive work from the very beginning. Gas Monkey Garage became known for builds that used average tool sets and parts that ordinary garage builders could actually find. Budgets stayed within ranges that felt real to everyday fans, and many early projects looked like something a skilled hobbyist could attempt at home. This approach created a strong connection with viewers who enjoyed the feeling that custom work did not always require huge money or rare equipment. Jesse James followed a completely different path. Work coming from the West Coast choppers style focused on detailed fabrication, specialty tools, and budgets that seemed to have very few limits. Metal shaping, custom frames, and hand-built parts became the normal standard. This difference slowly created a gap between two audiences, even though both groups loved motorcycles and custom machines. As Fast and Loud grew in popularity, builds started moving away from smaller budgets and moved toward projects that cost tens of thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. A quiet question began to surface among longtime fans. What happened to the simple garage builds that first made the show feel real? That shift caused some early supporters to feel disconnected, while Jesse James kept the image of a blue-collar craftsman who built only a few bikes each year with personal hands instead of a large production crew. Competition for attention added another layer to the tension, and the role of television networks became impossible to ignore. Discovery Channel wanted strong ratings, and strong ratings often came from rivalry. Producers encouraged trash-talking between builders because conflict pulled in viewers. Promotional clips, interviews, and online posts highlighted every sharp comment and every disagreement. Social media pages, entertainment news sites, and shows connected to the same network repeated the rivalry again and again. Many people started wondering if the competition felt bigger on television than in real life. The answer seemed clear when several Discovery programs pushed the same story at the same time. Shows like Outlaw Garage, American Chopper, and Fast and Loud all existed inside the same television world, and each program needed attention to survive. Putting builders against each other created drama, and drama created numbers. Gas Monkey Garage especially needed that attention because the shop arrived on television later than some other names in the industry. The famous bike build-off competition pushed the rivalry into the national spotlight, and that moment helped turn Fast and Loud into a major hit. Network strategy often relied on turning skilled builders into on-screen rivals, even when the real goal focused on entertainment rather than actual conflict. A question naturally followed. Did the feud grow because of personal dislike or because television needed excitement? Many signs pointed toward the second answer. Personal differences still played a role, and not every argument came from business decisions. Richard Rawlings later admitted that one of the most talked about moments, the TMZ video, came from an early attempt at humor during a time when television fame still felt new. Rawlings explained that the moment did not feel like something to be proud of, and that comment suggested that some of the tension came from learning how public life worked. Fame often magnifies small jokes into big headlines, and the rivalry between builders never really disappeared after that point. Even after working together during the Biker Buildoff collaboration, the relationship never returned to a friendly place. Another incident involving a bicycle auction showed that the distance between both sides still existed long after the television cameras stopped filming that original competition. People watching the situation unfold kept asking the same question again and again. Why would two skilled builders who shared the same passion stay divided for so long? The answer seemed to rest in a mix of pride, different work styles, and the pressure that comes from television exposure. One side focused on entertainment, growth, and larger productions, while the other side stayed close to a hands-on craft built slowly and carefully. Neither approach could be called wrong, but the difference between both approaches made cooperation difficult. The full situation revealed how business philosophy, television pressure, and personal pride can combine into a rivalry that lasts for years. Every disagreement added another layer, and every public moment made the gap harder to close. In the end, the divide showed more than just a feud between builders. The divide showed two different ideas about what custom work should look like, who the audience should be, and how success should be measured. That difference kept the tension alive long after the cameras stopped rolling, and the story continued to stand as one of the most talked about rivalries in modern automotive television. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.